Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure and honor for me to have Professor Joachim Frank with his lecture at SIPS 2024 in Crete. Uh, Professor Frank, good morning. How
Good
are
morning.
you?
Fine. Yeah, it's a wonderful day here.
Yes, here
I'm here
also, and
uh,
in Crete
in the
also.
Berkshires.
It's a pleasure to have you again with us. You are in Panama. This time you could not make it, but we are replacing with this video, which will make the same good effect. You are the only scientist in the world, I said, with a Nobel Prize. At the same time, you are a writer, you are an artist, and this is unique in the world. So you just published the second book, and this is amazing. This is SIPS. SIPS is bringing together all fields of life under one roof, all fields of science, but also law, politics, art under the same roof. So it was so special to have you with us and with a presentation that is also unique.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I doubt that I'm the only one in the world who has these kind of split activities. I think there are many more, but it is I think not that often. Okay,
Yeah,
should I get started?
sure. Or you can start. You can start. I
Okay.
can bring you the.
Okay, so I I was in Panama and was for the first time essentially confronted with all the efforts, the worldwide efforts on sustainability, and so it was a very eventful um, meeting for me and very interesting. And I have something to say later on after going into my very, very private personal view. Can I get the
Sure.
PowerPoint back, please? So I'm talking about keeping a vegetable garden in an area surrounded by wildlife, a personal perspective on sustainability. First of all, I just want to, as a reminiscence to Panama, after I came back from Panama, I had this artistic, view from Bonita Beach. Playa Bonita is a beach right there at the at the seafront of the hotel, and I collected some shells. And in the room itself, there was a book on Constable and other artists. So I placed shells onto Constable and have an entire collection. These are just three of these. So this is my reminiscence of Panama, this kinds of juxtaposition. So I'd like to go into the subject matter. Humans, from the perspective of animals, are the intruders. Deer, bears, foxes, rabbits, moles, groundhogs, wild turkeys still roam on the 4 acres of my land in the Berkshires. No sign will stop them, nothing but a fence. Here, I give you an impression what we see sort of almost on a daily basis, well, except for the bears. The bears don't come that often, but occasionally they get that close. Okay. Wild turkeys. So I was managed to get some snapshot of an entire flock that all of a sudden descended here. And here is the perfect wheel right here. This is not an an industrial product. This is an actual show of the male turkey. So let us widen this perspective and think about plants. Again, we are the intruders with our monocultures of grass, with our arbitrary definition of weeds. The late E.O. Wilson wrote a book entitled Half Earth. It's too late to save our planet in its entirety. Let's at least preserve half of it. Biodiversity is something precious to be saved. Can we do this on a small scale? He died a few years ago, and his death was an occasion for many people to talk about this work again. And I give you an excerpt from the E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Foundation. The ongoing mass extinction of the natural world ranks with pandemics, world wars, climate change as among the greatest threats that humanity has imposed upon itself. Biodiversity loss was ranked as the third most severe threat humanity will face in the next 10 years in the World Economic Forum's Global Risk Report in 2022. To lose so much of Earth's biodiversity is to both destroy our living heritage and to risk the stability of the planet today and for all future generations. In order to safeguard a sufficient number of species to protect global biodiversity, including humanity, the late American biologist E.O. Wilson and a new generation of scientists, ecologists, and conservationists concluded that we must set aside roughly half of Earth's land and seas for nature, known as the principle of half Earth. So this is our house in Alford, Massachusetts. And I'm proud to say we are 2/3 Earth. We have 4 acres, and 2/3 of it is completely wild. So we have nothing in there except for a path. And we keep the trees that fall down simply where they are. And then we have a part that is cultivated, has a greenhouse, a house, a flower garden. So this is essentially our tiny little contribution to the idea of half Earth. And I give you a few views to give you an idea. This is essentially also half beast, is half horse and half dragon, and we got this sculpture, imported it from Italy. But you see the view of the house, you see a little bit of the greenhouse here. Here's the fenced-in garden. The fencing in, especially important because of the deer. Here's the greenhouse. And this is an example of what is growing here in the vegetable garden. This is the greenhouse when it just was finished. And here's what we have in there right now. And this gives you an idea of the wilderness that comes when we look further down. And there was a unique year, which was 2022, when all of a sudden the seeds from our compost that are used for fertilize produced an unbelievable variety of squash of various kinds. And we didn't sow it; it simply came out of a compost. And all these invaded everywhere, became very large, and even went up the trees. Okay, you see them up, hanging up here. So this was pretty amazing. This is just another view. So I can be satisfied about my contribution to sustainability, so I can relax and worry about other matters. To answer this question, I need to go beyond the boundaries of my lot in Alfred, where, as you see, the world is in order, and contribute something provocative to the general discussion. I take a rather pessimistic view on the matter of sustainability. We have inherited a planet in a messed up state and are making it messier by the day. We all agree that the idea of going back to 1491, to use a metaphor that is poignant for the fate of North America, would be a fantasy. But the idea of keeping it even in the present state while encouraging further growth is a fantasy as well. I understand the efforts of seeking sustainability of the status quo as mainly a defensive, essentially desperate posture of industry, keeping profits going while not acknowledging that the problems we all face are in fact unsurmountable with the present model of economy. Okay, so I'll leave you with these thoughts and hope you enjoy your time on Crete. I wish I could be with you, but unfortunately my travel plans didn't allow it. But I want to mention that Crete is the place where most of the action takes place in my second novel, which has just been published, which is called Arbitrary, or His Sister's Keeper. Thank you very much. It was a very pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Professor Frank. So, what you mentioned on sustainability, just the latest, just last week, today we are in September, this is being recorded in September, so last week, FLOGEN sustainability framework was voted into law in one of the big cities in Brazil, Nova Friburgo. So all the projects will take FLOGEN sustainability framework as a criteria to approve all projects, public and private. So this is one of the, our contribution, and that city is one of the pioneers in the world for Nova Friburgo, because it's the first legislative power and executive power that approve into law a scientific concept on sustainability. So that's first in the world, and this fits very well with your presentation and your questions that you just asked in the last slides. But since you are still, you say that there are other people that are also writers by being Nobel laureate in science. I do not know one myself, another one. I am kind of that also because I'm kind of artist also, but I don't have a Nobel laureate yet. But what is the novel about?
Oh, what's the novel about? Well, it's it's a long story all by itself, but to make it short, essentially, the premise is that the narrator finds a letter as he was moving around, and he unpacks and he finds a letter that was written by his sister when she was young, when they both were young, and that reminds him of her early death when she was in her 50s, and that in turn made him think about the wonderful time that he spent with her on Crete when they were young. And he was 22, she was 19, and so they traveled on Crete, and all kinds of things happen. So I'm taking as a frame story which starts with a letter, and then he finds this narrator finds that he cannot essentially write about it. He cannot write a short story. He cannot write a novel about it, because what's in the way is the I. The I. It cannot be done in the first person. So he essentially appoints somebody else, and this is the he. Okay, so there are the two layers in the book. There's always the narrator and the he, a person who is going through all these traumas and all these troubles for him. And so this is the story, which really takes place, most of it takes place on Crete, and then other parts take place in Germany and in Spain. So I cannot give you any more clues, but it will, I hope it will be very challenging reading.
A novel for Crete, and a symposium, a summit in Crete. So it is very interesting to have you, a scientist with Nobel laureate in science, as a writer also, with a novel in Crete for a summit happening in Crete. All are coincidences that cannot be, be coincidences, but this is really unique. Professor Frank, we can find your book everywhere, I guess, in Amazon and in other places.
Kindle, Amazon, Ingram.
And it will be a pleasure reading your book, and probably we should advertise it also in Crete during the summit. So thank you again. Wish you success in the book, like in the first one. So, and having probably next time having you present the books on a different view, on the stories on sustainability. Why? Because as you know, one of our criteria, we have a unique definition. That's what the definition was voted into law. Improving the quality of human life. It is of human life. It is one of the criteria of sustainability. So thank you very much again, and we'll see you next time. You are invited next time. It will be in Asia, probably in Singapore, and we'll be in touch about that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.